Someday almost everything's gonna be done by a computer.
Well, that's nice, but we need special stories at the Picker. Like, can you embezzle $1 million with this thing?
Arnold.
Before streaming services, before binge watching, before you could skip the previously on segment with the click of a button, there was appointment television. And nothing, I mean nothing, was more appointment worthy than when your favorite sitcom characters crashed into each other's living rooms like some beautiful cosmic accident. Yes, today we're talking about TV crossovers. The 1980s were the golden age of sitcom crossovers. No warning, no social media buzz, just mind-blowing television moments that had you questioning if you'd accidentally changed the channel. Was it a dream? Was it a hallucination from too many pop rocks? No, my friends, it was the magic of 80s television. If you're loving this nostalgic trip back to the golden age of TV, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite shows from yesteryear. Trust me, the algorithms love it as much as network execs loved crossover episodes. The 80s gave us some of the most delightfully bizarre sitcom collisions in television history. Crossovers that had you checking TV Guide to make sure you were watching the right show. When it comes to desperate television movies, nothing beats what NBC did with Hello, Larry. NBC had high hopes for the show, starring McLean Stevenson from MASH as a radio talk show host. But when the show failed to find an audience, they created the first life support crossover, sending the Drummond family from their hit show Diff'rent Strokes to visit Larry. The crossover episodes were connected through Philip Drummond and Larry Alder being old Korean war buddies, because nothing says must-see TV like two middle-aged men reminiscing about a war that ended before most of the audience was even born. The first crossover episode on March 29, 1979, yes, technically the 70s, but we're counting it anyway because it's close enough and Diff'rent Strokes became an 80s iconic show anyway. Despite these efforts, Hello, Larry failed to find an audience and was canceled after 2 seasons, becoming a punchline for late-night comedians like Johnny Carson. Apparently, not even the combined star power of Gary Coleman and a guy who left MASH too early could save the struggling show. Television executives later acknowledged these crossovers as one of the first examples of what became known as a ratings transfusion strategy, using a hit show to prop up a failing one. The industry term jumping the shark wasn't yet in use. But Hello, Larry foreshadowed how desperate crossovers would later be seen as signs of a show in trouble. Well, this next one is a bit wild. So, in perhaps the most surreal sitcom crossover of the decade, Alf, yes, the alien life form who lived with the Tanner family, somehow ended up in a therapy session with Dr. Bob Hartley from the Bob Newhart Show. The Thanksgiving episode Turkey in the Straw featured Alf suffering from a turkey-induced hallucination. In his dream sequence, Alf found himself on Dr. Bob Hartley's couch for a therapy session, with Bob Newhart reprising his role from his 1970s sitcom. This crossover wasn't just unusual, it was dimensionally questionable. Alf's dream sequence didn't place him in Newhart, where Bob was an innkeeper in Vermont. No, he somehow ended up in Bob's older show, The Bob Newhart Show, where he played a Chicago therapist. Newhart reprised a character he hadn't played in nearly a decade, making it one of the most unexpected crossovers in TV history. The episode became known for its meta-commentary on television itself. Alf wasn't just crossing over with another show, he was acknowledging that he watched the same TV shows we did, blurring the line between television as entertainment and television as reality. This was remarkably forward-thinking for 1987. If you happened to be flipping channels and suddenly saw Alf sitting in Bob Newhart's therapy chair, you probably checked your TV Guide to make sure you hadn't accidentally fallen asleep on the remote. It was the kind of surreal television moment that made you wonder if someone had spiked your tab with something maybe a little bit stronger. When Bob Newhart agreed to appear on Alf, it marked a rare case of a major television star returning to a character years after their show had ended. The audience's delighted reaction to seeing Newhart in his familiar role helped establish the appeal of character revivals, a concept that would become more common decades later. In what must have been one of the most unexpected hospital visits of all time, George Jefferson, yes, the George Jefferson of Movin' On Up fame, found himself in the emergency room on the short-lived sitcom ER, not to be confused with the later hospital drama of ER. This crossover is particularly fascinating because it connected two completely different television worlds. The Jeffersons was a Norman Lear production on CBS, while ER was a new sitcom on CBS starring Elliot Gould. The appearance of Sherman Hemsley as George Jefferson represented a rare instance where a character from an established hit show appeared on a struggling newcomer, attempting to give it some credibility by association. The episode aired on November 8, 1984, and featured George Jefferson coming to the Chicago emergency room while in town on business. The storyline maintained the continuity of both shows, acknowledging that Jefferson owned a successful chain of dry cleaning stores that had expanded to Chicago. Apparently, not even a hospital visit could keep George Jefferson from reminding everyone just how rich he was, rich enough to afford top-tier medical care. Moving on up doesn't just stop just because you're having chest pains. While appearing on the same network, this crossover still required unusual cooperation between different production companies. Unfortunately for ER, even George Jefferson's star power couldn't save it. The show was canceled after just one season, proving that not every ratings transfusion could revive a struggling patient. Now, if you're enjoying these crossover stories as much as we are talking about them, now's the perfect time to smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We've got tons more content about your favorite classic shows coming soon. Now, sometimes the 80s gave us crossovers that were so bizarre, so unexpected that they defied all logic. Yet they happened anyway, creating some of the most memorable moments in sitcom history. In a crossover that can only be described as rich kid meets rich kid who still kept it real, Ricky Stratton from Silver Spoons teamed up with Arnold Jackson from Diff'rent Strokes to hack into a school computer. Because nothing says 80s like two child stars committing cybercrimes together. What made this crossover so special was that it brought together two of NBC's biggest child stars, Gary Coleman and Ricky Schroder, on the same screen. The network knew exactly what it was doing. When these two pint-sized powerhouses shared an episode, viewership surged by over 25% above average for both shows. The episode aired during the 5th season of Diff'rent Strokes and the 3rd season of Silver Spoons, when both shows were still performing well but beginning to face increased competition. By bringing together Ricky Schroder's tech-savvy privileged character with Gary Coleman's quick-witted savvy Arnold, NBC created a perfect storm of 80s kid sitcom appeal. But while most crossovers were desperate ratings grabs, some actually became fan favorites that audiences genuinely loved. When NBC put Gary Coleman and Ricky Schroder together, it wasn't just a cynical ploy. Fans went crazy for it, and the episode remains one of the most fondly remembered from either series. The Silver Spoons Diff'rent Strokes crossover showed that when done right, these unlikely pairings could create genuinely entertaining television. Now, in what might be the most mismatched crossover of the decade, the waitresses from Mel's Diner on Alice somehow found themselves mixed up with Bo and Luke Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard. The crossover wasn't just unusual because it mixed a workplace sitcom with an action comedy, it was also a rare CBS internal crossover. It aired on March 14, 1985 during the 9th and final season of Alice, when the show was looking for ways to boost its sagging ratings. The episode's plot involved the Duke boys helping to find Mel after he mysteriously disappeared. It featured everything you'd expect: car chases in the General Lee, flows, catchphrases, and the kind of fish-out-of-water comedy that only the 80s could really provide. It answered the question absolutely no one was asking: what would happen if the Dukes of Hazzard had to leave their compound long enough to get table service? What makes this crossover particularly fascinating is how it forced two completely different television aesthetics to coexist. Alice was a grounded, working-class sitcom about waitresses struggling to make ends meet. The Dukes of Hazzard featured car jumps, cartoonish villains, and rural hijinks. Watching these worlds collide was like seeing a documentary about diner life suddenly interrupted by a monster truck rally. Whoever decided to pitch this crossover episode deserves some kind of award, or maybe therapy? Maybe a little bit of both. This crossover represented CBS's attempt to give Alice a proper send-off during its final season, while also providing the Dukes of Hazzard with exposure to a different audience demographic. While the critical reception was mixed at best, the ratings boost proved the strategy effective. Turns out people will watch absolutely anything if you promise them a car might jump over a diner. So here's to the golden age of 80s sitcom crossovers, when networks threw characters together with calculated abandon, when continuity took a backseat to star power, and when we all learned that sometimes the best television moments happen when worlds collide. Which 80s sitcom crossover blew your mind the most? Was it Alf meeting Bob Newhart? The Dukes of Hazzard crashing into Mel's diner? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into TV history. See you next time as we remember when.